I'd like to introduce Dr. Ralph Madison, who's an expert in physical activity and researches at the university. Ralph, we've already discussed smoking. The other factor which has something to do with why people get sick as they age is physical activity. What is the benefits of doing physical activity for our bodies?
Physical activity has many benefits, Hugh. It's very cardioprotective. So what it means by that is that it's very useful, helps strengthen the heart, it helps reduce blood pressure, helps reduce the cholesterol and helps with the good cholesterol in the body. It also helps with reduce the risk of stroke. And it's very useful for also things like increasing muscle strength and bone density, which is good so people don't get broken bones and that sort of thing.
How much exercise do I have to do to get that benefit?
The recommendations for physical activity internationally say that people should do about 30 minutes a day, most days of the week. But unfortunately, we know that most people, most adults, do not achieve those basic recommendations. And furthermore is that most people don't do, or half of adults don't do leisure time physical activity at all.
So those 30 minutes, is that high intensity exercise like running, or can I just do in the gardening for half an hour a day? Would that be enough?
Certainly the recommendations suggest that people should do moderate levels of activity. And there are activities that make you puff a little bit, so when you go for a walk and you're breathing a little bit harder than you normally would. Also maybe make your heart rise a little bit, but you probably don't feel that. But often if you're puffing a little bit and you feel a little bit warmer or a little bit sweaty, then that's a good level of activity to achieve.
So if I want to do exercise and I haven't done much before and I'm interested in getting a bit healthier, how can I get motivated to do that?
I think getting motivated to be active is it's a simple thing, but it's also very difficult for people to achieve. And I think the most important thing to start getting active is to start small. Set yourself little goals, for example, that you might want to lose maybe 1 or 2 kilograms. You also might want to set yourself goals in which you say, I'm going to try to do at least 10 minutes of exercise a day, most days of the week, and then gradually build that up. But the key thing is to start small, don't overexert yourself initially, and slowly build up the level of activity so that you feel that you're actually slowly building up towards the recommendations. But there are specific strategies that you can follow, which we can talk about.
So shall I join a gym, or can I do all of this at home?
You can join a gym. You may also do a lot of this at home. But certainly for people to stick at physical activity, it's really important that they do what's most comfortable for them. It's also, activity is supposed to be enjoyable. I mean, more often than not, we have these images of people struggling and sweating and puffing and panting, but that's not necessary. The main thing is to integrate activity into your life so that you feel that it's part of what you do on a daily basis. And so people can do all sorts of things to become physically active. They could just, if they're able to walk, it'd be useful if they just went for a walk for at least 10 minutes. They might take their dog for a walk. They might go to a gym and do some exercises. They might go in the garden, mow the lawns, do some gardening. Instead of parking right outside some shops, it might be a good idea to park a little bit further away and then walk to the shops. Climbing the stairs instead of taking the lift. There's all sorts of things that people can do to add more activity into their day, because at the moment, most of the time, our lifestyles make us more sedentary. We sit in front of the television, sit in front of the computer. Often our jobs don't require manual labour, so we actually don't produce a lot of energy. So it's really important that we substitute that lack of energy by adding things into our lives that make us more active. Another example might be to take up a hobby. Do something you've never done before or haven't done for a while that you've enjoyed. Dancing, fabulous thing to do with a couple or by yourself, meet new people. 10-pin bowling, hiking, there's all sorts of things that you can do to enjoy activities. You just got to think a little bit outside of the square to do that.
What if I've had a stroke and I'm a little bit disabled? It's more difficult for me to do physical activity. What advice have you got for me?
I think for people that have had a stroke, and there is some level of disability, I think the initial perception is that I can't be active anymore. And I think that's the wrong perception. I think it's although it may require a little bit more effort to be active, there are a lot of things that you can still do. For example, if you're in a wheelchair and you can't physically walk, then there are lots of upper body activities that you can do. That might be, using arm ergometers, doing aerobic type activities in which you can lift your arms, etc.
If I haven't had physical activity as part of my life for a while now, how would you recommend that I go about it?
I think that's a really good question. Starting physical activity or beginning to start activity is actually a difficult thing initially. And I think some of the things that you can do, the first thing you can do is begin to schedule it into your life. So that what that means is that instead of trying to fit it in around your already busy schedule, is try to prioritize it and then build your life around it. So if you like to get up in the morning and you find it easy to get up in the morning, then maybe do your exercise first thing in the morning as you get up before breakfast. Or if it's lunchtime, maybe do something at lunchtime that you don't normally do. But try to fit your life in around activity rather than activity in around your life. The second thing is to start establishing some goals. The goals are targets that you can follow that allow you to try to achieve what you want to do. So for example, if you currently don't do any activity, you might want to say, okay, my goal is to start by doing 10 minutes a day for at least 3 or 4 times a week, and then slowly build that up to where you are meeting the recommendations of 30 minutes most days of the week. And the key thing is to start small. Don't overexert yourself in case then you're stiff and sore and you don't enjoy it anymore. So try to take small increments and introduce some level of enjoyment into the amount of activity that you do. So start doing things that you've never done before. You might want to go dancing, you might want to take up 10-pin bowling, or another activity in which you find that you used to do and you don't do now, or that you feel that would be enjoyable for you to take up. You might also want to call up a friend and say, look, I'm going to meet you for a walk, we're going to meet at this time, and having that dependence on somebody else gives you the incentive to go out and be a bit more active or go for a walk or whatever. And I think, so those combined things, scheduling, goals, enjoyable activities are really important things to allow you to at least take the initial steps to become more active.
That's excellent. Thank you very much.